Operator, can you please connect me with OTR Halloween Holidays? I don't want to miss this episode of the Bah Ghoulie Show.
I have flown. I have sailed. I have moved about this world of ours. And ever in search of the finest of its kind, we bring you the tops in spine chillers. The Creaking Door. The manufacturers of State Express 3.5 Filter King cigarettes take pleasure in presenting The Creaking Door. Good evening, friends of The Creaking Door. The Creaking Door is open. So do come in. Why are you hesitating? Oh, I see. That apparition you met in your nightmare. Oh, yes. Yes, he's here, all right. Ready to drive you out of your mind. In world class. Get the taste of new smooth State Express 3.5s today. We promise you, it's the smoothest cigarette you can get. It's a blend that has been perfected after years of constant research by our master blenders. And the recent development of an entirely new process which gives you an even smoother 3.5 smoke. We promise you, it's the smoothest cigarette you can get. Move in world class. Get the taste of new, smooth State Express 3.5s today. A young, determined-looking man steps out of his car onto the muddy dirt road and faces the bleak stone house at the end of the driveway. Hesitating a moment, he turns up his collar against the wind, then walks the long path to the forbidding door.
You're not keeping me out. You've got no right to force me. I'm coming in whether you like it or not. What are you doing here? What am I doing? You can ask that. No point in arguing. Come on in. We'll talk in the library.
How did you, find this place? It wasn't easy. You sorted that, didn't you?
In here.
Who was this, Carl? Oh.
All right, Martha. An unexpected visit. You, know my wife, Martha, don't you, Ellen? Fix Ellen a drink, Martha.
Yes.
Sit down. We'll talk.
I didn't come all the way out here to make conversation.
What have you come for, then?
What have you done with Julia?
Here are the drinks, Carl.
Alan?
I've asked you what you've done with...
Martha, perhaps Alan would prefer brandy to this.
I prefer nothing.
You shouldn't have done that, Alan. Those glasses are family heirlooms, very difficult to replace.
What have you two done with Julia?
What have we done? Am I my sister's keeper?
I know she's here someplace in this house. Don't try to tell me she isn't.
I really wouldn't try to tell you anything in your present condition.
Where is she? Upstairs?
No, Alan.
Upstairs, Mrs. Manning?
Julia isn't here. What's got into you anyway?
It's got into me. You made a good try, but it won't work. Julia and I are getting married, no matter what you do or try.
That is your own personal business and Julia's. All I can do is to assure you that my sister isn't here.
And you have no idea where she is?
No.
And that's what you'll tell me next time.
As a matter of fact, you're right. My wife and I needed a rest. We moved from town and rented this house.
Not according to the age.
That's ridiculous.
He told me Julia's name is on the lease.
I'm afraid, Alan, you've been misinformed.
I'm going upstairs to look.
Carl! It's all right, Martha. Let him go.
And when I find her, Julia's leaving this house with me.
Carl. Carl, he'll find her now.
I know.
He'll see what she's become.
Yes, Martha. Alan's in for the shock of his life. But there's nothing we can do about it now.
Julia? Julia, are you in here? Julia?
Please leave, Alan. Please.
Julia? What's the matter?
Just do as I ask. Please leave.
No. Why is it so dark in here?
Don't turn that lamp on.
What?
Don't touch that lamp. Keep your hands away from it.
Julia!
You won't turn it on, Alan. Promise you won't.
All right. What has he done to you, Julia?
He?
Your brother, Carl. What have he and his wife done to you?
They've done nothing. Don't you dare say one word against them. Oh, Alan. Why did you try to find me? Why?
How can you ask such a thing? Just a month ago we were to be married and then you disappeared.
You've got to leave here at once. Just make believe you didn't find me.
What?
You've got to.
No. I'm going to find out what this is all about.
For your own good, Alan, go away. Please. Go away and never come back again.
I'm not budging until you tell me why. Why do you sound so peculiar? Why do you want to remain in the dark?
Alan, please go.
Not until you can look me straight in the eye and tell me you want me to leave.
Alan, don't turn on that lamp.
I'm sorry, Julia, but...
Don't touch it, Julia. Now get out of here. Get out or I'll kill you.
Feeling any better now, Alan?
Yes, my face has stopped bleeding.
The gash is where she clawed you are rather deep.
Claude?
Now, can you understand why I said my sister wasn't here?
Carl, what's wrong with her? What is it?
Alan, I know you don't like me, but please, take my advice. Forget you ever knew Julia.
Well,
I know it sounds cruel, but it's the best advice I can offer you.
I'm sorry, it's out of the question.
All right. That leaves me no choice but to tell you. Perhaps, after all, it is better that I do.
Tell what?
What's wrong with Julia? I'll have to ask for your complete confidence.
You have it?
Look in the mirror, Alan.
Huh?
Look at those scratches on your face. Well?
What are you driving at?
Don't they seem strange to you?
A moment ago you used the term Claude. You said I was Claude.
Exactly. Are those marks the marks the human hand would make? Or are they not more like the marks of an animal's claw?
You're not making sense.
The sensible explanation is not to my liking either, Alan. It wasn't easy for me to face it when I first saw the reversion setting in.
Reversion? I don't follow you.
It was semi-dark in the room upstairs, but still you noticed something very peculiar about Julia. Physically, that is.
Well, she was altogether peculiar.
I mean something specific. Her eyes. What did you notice about her eyes?
She kept her face pretty well away from me, but now you mention it.
Yes?
I noticed her eyes were...
Oh, God.
They'd absurd.
You noticed they were what, Alan?
They were like...
Like the eyes of a cat.
Yes.
In the last 2 weeks, the reversion process has been stepped up, I'm afraid. Already her pupils have expanded to the full iris, and perhaps you've noticed her fear, or rather her pathological hatred of light.
Yes, I did.
Her fingers, they're virtual claws now.
Stop it, please. Can't something be done? A doctor?
We've tried everything. If a doctor were to see her now, his only recommendation would be to put her in an institution for the rest of her life. Her unnatural life.
Julia.
I know how you feel. It's quite late, Alan. If you'd like, you may spend the night with us.
Thank you.
I'll show you upstairs to your room.
It's just not believable.
I know. Too shocking to accept at first.
Carl!
Now can you believe, Alan? Now can you believe every word that I've told you is true? you been?
Been? No.
You promised me you wouldn't leave this room. I've been looking all over the house and grounds for you. Now, where were you?
Oh, please don't be angry with me. Please.
I'm not angry, but for your own sake, you must do as I say. If you don't, I'll have
You'll
to...
send me away.
No, Julia. I'll just have to keep the door to this room locked.
Oh, you'll never send me away. You'll never do that.
I promised you, didn't I? Now, come on. Lie down.
Carl, Alan was here tonight.
I know.
You let him see me.
I couldn't help it. He insisted.
You're letting him stay in the house.
You'll go first thing in the morning.
You can't take me
You
away.
mustn't think about that now.
I scratched him. I hated him. I didn't think I could ever hate Alan.
I told you not to think about it. Everything's going to be all
Will
right.
it? Oh, will I ever get better?
Of course, no. Just lie back, Julia, and I'll soothe your forehead.
Carl,
I didn't mean
you
to.
were going to say stroke.
No, I...
You were, weren't you? Stroke, as you would a cat.
No, Julia, I wasn't. You mustn't put words into my mouth. You'll only make things worse for yourself.
What is it?
Julia, where were you tonight?
I know.
Were you out of the house?
I don't remember. Why?
You were with someone. Try to remember.
I can't. Why, Carl?
Never mind, it's nothing.
You're keeping something from me.
No.
You're hiding something behind you. You've got something in your hand.
That's nothing, I tell you.
Let me see what...
Now, let go. Julia!
My slipper. My slipper's covered with blood.
Move in world class. Get the taste of new smooth State Express 3/5s today. We promise you, it's the smoothest cigarette you can get. It's a blend that has been perfected after years of constant research by our master blenders. And the recent development of an entirely new process which gives you an even smoother 3/5 smoke. We promise you, it's the smoothest cigarette you can get. Move in world class. Get the taste of new, smooth State Express 3/5s today.
Well. They say a cat has 9 lives. Poor Julia. I wonder how many she has left.
Oh, Carl, look. Look at this.
Easy, Martha.
I came into this room to tell him breakfast was ready. I found him on the floor that way. His throat clawed open.
You better get out of here.
Carl, what happened?
Don't come in, Julia.
I heard Martha
Julia.
scream.
Julia, you mustn't look.
That's why there was blood on my slipper. That's why.
Martha, help me get her out of
I was
here.
with Alan last night and I killed him. I killed him. She's insane. Julia really believes she's a cat now.
Wasn't that our plan, Martha, to drive her out of her mind?
It's gone too far.
Not at all. It hasn't gone quite far enough yet. You'll howl like a cat again tonight.
No, I won't. We've got to stop this right now. Oh, if she gets worse, she'll kill both of them.
That'd be ridiculous. Julia couldn't kill anybody.
But Alan...
Julia didn't kill Alan.
What?
I killed Alan.
You?
Of course. It was quite necessary.
Oh, why didn't you tell me? Why did you make
I
me...
wanted to get a legitimate performance out of you when you found his body. I wanted you to be horrified, and I wanted you to recoil from Julia, just as you did.
You're a murderer.
That's a very unpleasant thing to say. I was merely protecting my investment of time and trouble.
You didn't have to commit murder.
Oh, but I did.
You see, I hadn't really convinced Alan at all.
How do you know?
I kept my eye on his room after he went up to bed. I saw him steal out and come downstairs here. I listened on the upstairs extension. I heard him telephone Peterson.
And the doctor told him what was wrong with Julia?
He explained to Alan the symptoms of her metalopia, day blindness.
And you killed him for that?
Of course.
But why?
You've suddenly turned very sensitive, darling.
I never bargained for murder.
When you want money, as much money as my sister Julia has, you must be prepared to take any step, no matter how violent.
But
what did you expect me to do? Allow Alan to tell Julia that she was suffering from an eye affliction, after I built up in her mind that she was slowly turning into a cat? Or would you choose to allow him to walk out of here and go to the police?
I don't want that money now.
You're just excited. You'll feel differently about it later.
No, I'll never feel differently after what's happened. I told you all along I had a feeling something would happen.
What could possibly happen now? Alan's out of the way. His body will never be found.
I'm not thinking of Alan. I'm thinking of your sister.
What about Julia?
Oh, I'm thinking of the terrible thing we've done to her.
It's a little late to think about that, isn't it?
I don't know. There must be something we can do.
There's only one thing you're going to do, Martha, and that is as I say.
Carl,
We're
please.
going to keep working on Julia until she's put away for the rest of her life. We're going to keep at it until I have every cent of hers. It's all right, Julia. It's all right now.
Oh, Carl.
It's all right.
It was me, Carl. I was out again, wasn't I?
No, Julia, it was only a dream you had.
You're not saying that.
It's only a bad dream, that's all.
I killed again, just like I killed Alan.
No, you didn't.
Carl, I'd rather be dead than like
No,
this.
Julia, please.
I can't stop myself anymore. I get worse and worse. Look at my hands. They're not really hands anymore. They're claws and... Carl,
What is it?
I was out.
No, it's just a dream, I told you.
It wasn't a bad dream. I did kill again. My dressing gown, look. Covered with blood.
Julia.
They'll find me now. This time they'll find me and put me away.
I won't let that happen. I promised to take care of you, didn't I?
Oh, yes, Carl.
And I will take care of you always. The very best I can.
Carl, when are you going to leave her alone?
When she's beyond help completely, and only then, Mother.
I can't stand it anymore.
You stand as much as I say you can stand. Now get hold of yourself. Won't be much longer.
No, Carl. It won't be much longer.
What do you mean?
You'd better stop now. I'm warning you.
Warning me?
For your own good.
Don't be ridiculous.
You won't listen to me. You won't stop.
Of course not. The plan is perfect. Nothing could go wrong now.
I brought you some lunch, Julia.
Not hungry.
I want to talk to you.
Why did you close the door, Martha? Since Alan died, you've never closed it while you were in here. You were afraid to be alone with me.
I'm not afraid anymore. I'm here to help you.
Help me?
To get away from here.
What?
To get away from Carl. There isn't much time.
I don't want to leave Carl. He's the only one who can help me now.
No, Julia. I'm the only one who can really help you now. You must leave here tonight before it's too late.
You're trying to trick me.
No. Oh, believe me.
You're jealous because Carl is good to me. You've always been jealous.
Please listen. I'm only trying to help. If you stay here, you're lost. You'll end up in an institution. That's what Carl wants.
That's what you want. You want me out of this house so they can get me and put me away.
No, Julia. Oh, you must believe me. At first, I did want that. Carl talked me into it. But now, it's gone too far. Now I only want to save you from Carl. Julia, you're not a murderess.
What?
You didn't kill Alan.
But I did. And the other people I killed.
There were no other people, only Alan, and you didn't kill him. Carl did.
No, Carl wouldn't do that. He knew I loved Alan when I... And I was... Before this happened to me.
Carl killed Alan. I swear it.
I can't believe...
You must. It's your only chance. Carl put the blood on your slipper and on your dressing gown. It was all a trick to drive you out of your mind. And if you don't let me help you tonight, it'll be too late for you.
They'll put me away?
For the rest of your life. Well, Julia?
You'll help me, Martha. Really?
Yes, in every way I can.
But what can you do now?
I've planned it all. Tonight at dinner, I'll put a sedative in Carl's coffee. By 9, he'll be fast asleep, and I'll be waiting in the car for you. Do you understand?
Yes, Martha, I understand. You'll be waiting for me downstairs in the car at 9 o'clock.
And by the time Carl wakes, you'll be hundreds of miles away from here, safe.
Hello, Martha.
Carl.
You seem surprised to see me, Martha. According to your calculations, I should be fast asleep at this point. Isn't that right?
I don't know what you mean.
Don't waste time fencing. I replaced the sedative with a quite innocuous powder.
You overheard Julia and me.
Not at all. I had no idea of your scheme until Julia told me.
What?
Julia told me everything.
She didn't believe me.
Not a word. She thought you were only trying to trick her. You see, Martha, it was only a waste of your time and your life.
What?
Your life.
Carl.
I can't trust you any longer. That's fairly obvious, isn't it?
Carl, you wouldn't...
I've no other course now.
Oh, you couldn't kill me.
I once told you when you want something badly enough, no step is too violent.
No.
You see this, Martha?
Oh!
This is the iron claw that was used on Alan.
Carl, no, please.
After I'm finished, I'll call the police. I'll tell them about my sister.
Carl!
My completely insane sister, and the horrible thing she's done to my wife.
No.
And then I'll have everything I've worked for.
Sergeant Jackson speaking.
This is Carl Manning. I live on Windmill Road, the last house in from the highway. Please, come right away.
Manning, Windmill Road.
Yes.
Got it. What's wrong?
There's been a murder.
Murder?
Yes. My wife's been clawed to death. Julia. How did you get down here?
I wasn't in my room when you lost it.
Get upstairs immediately.
No, Carl, I'm not going back to that room again. Ever.
Julia, you'll do as I say, or I... Oh. Why did you turn out the lights?
I heard everything you said on the phone.
What?
And I saw what you did to Martha in the car.
You...
I wanted you to do that to her. That's why I told you everything.
And you did believe her?
It made no difference. It was too late for me.
Julia, I want those lights on.
No, Carl, I like the dark. Remember, I can only see clearly in the dark. But you can't see me, can you?
Julia, now, listen to me.
I can see in the dark because I'm a cat.
No, Julia.
And you can't hear my steps because I walk on cat feet.
Julia, there's really nothing wrong with you. It's just an eye affliction, that's all.
It's more than that now. I'm more a cat than a human being now. You bumped into the table because you can't see in the dark. You don't have cat's eyes like I have.
You're not a cat, Julia. You're
My
not.
hands are claws now with sharp, long nails. Nails that can rip and tear and kill.
No, it's only in your mind. You can't kill.
I'm a cat, Carl. You made me one. You turned me into an animal.
Julia, please, to turn on the light.
You'll never see light again, Carl. Ever.
Julia.
Your cat's up against the window now. Behind you is the steep cliff. You're in a corner and you can't get out. You're a mouse trapped in a corner by a cat.
Julia, stand back, don't!
A mouse trapped by a cat.
Oh, it's falling!
That's what I call the cat's whisker. So the moral to tonight's fairy tale. Always be kind to animals. You can never tell when one of them will turn up to be a relative of yours.
In world class. Get the taste of new smooth State Express 3/5s today. We promise you, it's the smoothest cigarette you can get. It's a blend that has been perfected after years of constant research by our master blenders. And the recent development of an entirely new process which gives you an even smoother 3/5 smoke. We promise you, it's the smoothest cigarette you can get. Move in world class. Get the taste of new, smooth State Express 3/5s today.
This is your host back again. Just a reminder of our rendezvous next week. Where are we going? Through the creaking door, of course.
The manufacturers of State Express 3/5 Filter King cigarettes invite you to listen next Saturday at 9 o'clock when they will again present The Creaking Door.
Hope you're enjoying today's radio program. When it's done, be sure to check out our channel over at Watchwaddle. Enjoy some tunes with a nice cold soda. Hey Ghoulies, hope you're enjoying today's radio show. If you're still up afterward, join us over at Channel Watchwaddle for our midnight spook show screening of The Haunted Skeletons. It'll scare you to the bone. For now, enjoy the rest of the radio program.
Suspense. And the producer of radio's outstanding theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
The ensuing half hour is not intended as propaganda to abolish the relationship between mothers and sons. The twin institutions of filial piety and motherhood have survived too long under the aegis of the Fourth Commandment to stand in any grave danger of dissolution by a single dramatic diatribe. No, the tale you are about to hear merely seeks to point out that there can be too much of a good thing. And as someone said, be ye moderate in all things. We cry forbearance to mothers and beseech sons to render fully unto them only those things which are theirs, reserving all else for the women who will become the mothers of their children. Listen then as Miss Agnes Moorehead stars in Don't Call Me Mother, which begins in just a minute.
Here's Frankie Lane. I never feel like singing with a bad cold, so I take wonderful four-way cold tablets to relieve my cold misery fast.
Right. Tests of 4 leading cold tablets proved four-way fastest acting of all. Amazing four-way starts in minutes to relieve aches, pains, headache, reduce fever, calm upset stomach, also overcomes irregularity.
So when you catch cold, take my advice. Take four-way cold tablets. It's the fast way to relieve those nasty cold miseries and feel better quickly.
Four-way, 29 and 59 cents.
Here's a word about another fine product of Grove Laboratories. Does dandruff dull your hair, leave scalp itchy? Get Fitch Dandruff Remover Shampoo and get rid of unsightly dandruff in 3 minutes. 3 minutes with Fitch regularly is guaranteed to keep embarrassing dandruff away forever. Apply Fitch before wetting hair. Rub in 1 minute. Add water. Lather 1 minute. Rinse 1 minute. Every trace of dandruff goes down the drain. 3 minutes with Fitch, unsightly dandruff's gone. Fitch can also leave your hair up to 35% brighter. Fitch Dandruff Remover Shampoo.
And now, Don't Call Me Mother, starring Miss Agnes Moorehead. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
We were so happy together. Larry's father passed on when he was a little boy, and from that day on, I devoted my life to him, and as he grew, he devoted his to me. Laurie and Larry, what a lovely couple they make. My friends would joke, but it was true. We were a lovely couple. I and my handsome, tall son. He was everything a mother could ask for. Considerate, polite, intelligent, and a good provider.
Mother?
Yes, dear?
Mother, I wonder if I could bring a friend home for dinner Saturday.
Why, of course, dear.
We're going to be out riding all day, and we'll be pretty hungry. Could you make your famous beef stew the way I like it?
The dumplings and the meat cut into teeny-weeny bite sizes the way you liked it when you were a teeny-weeny little boy.
Well, you don't have to go that far. I can cut my own meat now.
Well, of course you can. I was just teasing.
Well, don't tease me on Saturday, will you please, Mother?
Is this a special friend?
Yes.
What's his name?
It isn't a him. It's a her.
A girl?
Yes, Mother.
Why, Larry, what's come over you? You've never been interested in girls.
Don't you think it's about time I am?
I can't imagine why.
Mother, the time comes when a man...
Well, you're still a boy, Larry.
I'm 25, Mother, and please remember that on Saturday.
All right, if you'll remember something, too.
What?
Something you've forgotten just now.
Well, what, Mother?
When you bring this woman to dinner, please remember to call me Laurie, not Mother. Do have another piece of persimmon pie, Roberta.
Oh, I really couldn't, Mrs. Ryder. It's delicious, but I couldn't eat another bite.
Larry, you will.
No, thank you, Mother. Laurie?
But you've hardly eaten a thing, dear.
I've had 2 pieces, Laurie.
Such a wonderful dinner. I don't think I could ever learn to cook a meal like that.
Oh, I don't know. It just takes practice.
Oh, I could never find the time. What with my job?
Well, no matter what, I've always managed to have a hot meal on the table for my Larry, haven't I, dear?
Yes, Laurie. Some more coffee, Roberta?
Thank you, Larry.
You're older than Larry, aren't you, Roberta?
A little. I'm 28.
Larry always seems younger than his age. He's led a very sheltered life.
He doesn't seem too young to me.
Really?
Well, I mean, Larry's a man.
Is he? Well, I suppose to a mother, a son never really grows up. But then you wouldn't know about that.
I hope to, someday.
Well, I'm sure you will. When the right man comes along for you.
Mrs. Ryder, the right man has come along for me.
He has? Well, congratulations, my dear. I hope you'll be very happy.
We expect to be, don't we, darling?
Yes, dear.
Larry, is this true?
Well, yes, Mother. Roberta and I are going to be married.
Oh? Oh, no. You can't. You can't, Larry.
Mother, what is it? What's the matter? Roberta, hand me a glass of water. Here, Mother. Take some of this. Mother, what is it?
Oh, Larry, I didn't want you to know.
Know what, Mother?
And now you do.
I don't know what you're talking about.
My heart, Larry. I have a heart condition. Sudden shock. The doctor said I must be careful.
Oh, Mother,
I'm sorry, Mrs. Ryder. I shouldn't have sprung it on you so suddenly.
Well, the doctor warned me again.
You just lie down on the couch and rest for a few moments.
No, I'm all right. I'm all right now. Well, as you see, Roberta, I need Larry.
So do I, Mrs. Ryder. I love him.
No, so do I. And anyway, my dear, you're much too old for him.
So are you.
What do you mean by that remark?
Merely that it's time you let him go. It's time you let him grow up.
Larry, are you going to let this woman insult me and you...
We've talked it all over, Laurie. She's right.
I will give you my permission. I'll never give you my permission.
I'd like your permission and your blessing, Laurie, but I don't need it. I am of age, you know.
You mean to say you'd walk out on your poor sick mother, leave her alone to die? Yes, literally to die of a broken heart.
Of course not, Mother. We'll take care of you.
Of course. If you're really sick, you can live with us.
Never. So long as I'm alive, Larry belongs with me.
Mrs. Ryder, I've got to say this. Larry and I are going to be married. Even if it's the death of you.
Then listen to me, Roberta, and you listen carefully. If you try to take Larry away from me, it'll be the death of you.
Do you know about the little white tablet in the little green pocket roll? Just a-waiting for the moment when you need 'em to bring your acid indigestion under control. Tums are the little white tablets in the little green pocket roll. Tums for the tummies, Tums. Bring relief quicker than you'd ever guess. Best for any kind of acid distress. Keep 'em handy in the pocket roll. Keep your tummy under Tums control.
Tums are fast, effective, and safe. Tums relieve the discomfort of acid indigestion quickly with no danger of acid rebound, sometimes caused by harsh alkalizers. Always carry Tums, 10 cents. 3-roll pack, $0.25. New Tums 6-roll pack with free metal carrier, 49 cents.
And now, starring Miss Agnes Moorehead, Act 2 of Don't Call Me Mother.
It was wrong. All wrong for Larry to get married. This woman was too old for him. She was not good enough for him. She was, who knows what. Just someone who works in the same office. Don't you see, Larry?
I've known her for more than a year.
You've kept her a very big secret.
I had to. I knew you wouldn't like the idea.
But you went right on seeing her behind my back.
Yes, until I was sure.
And you're sure?
I'm sure, Mother.
Don't call me Mother. What are you sure of, Larry?
That I'm in love with her.
Love? What's love?
It's something we've each got to find out about in his own way.
Well, isn't my love enough for you?
No.
Larry.
I'm sorry, Laurie, but the way I feel about Roberta is different from the way I feel about you. I'm sure that there's enough love in my heart for both of you.
Oh, Larry, my dear, sweet little boy, trying so hard to be grown up.
Please.
Don't you suppose Laurie knows what's best for you? Hasn't Laurie always been right?
Yes, of course you have, but this is a decision a man must make for himself.
Without any consideration for others?
I have considered you. I will always look after you.
I wasn't thinking of myself. I was thinking of Roberta.
Roberta?
Yes. Will you always look after Roberta?
Of course.
Will you always be able?
Well, of course, barring unforeseen accidents.
Your accident has already occurred.
What do you mean?
You were born.
What?
You never should have been born, Larry.
Why? Why do you say that?
Because your father was insane.
Mother.
Don't call me mother.
Why didn't you tell me before?
Well, I hoped I never would have to. I've always told you he died when you were a baby. Well, he didn't die. He was taken away to an asylum. He lived a long, long time, until quite recently. He's insane. Hopelessly insane.
Have I inherited?
No one can be sure. The doctors don't know. But do you want to take that chance? Do you want to put Roberta through what I've been through? Don't you see, my dear, if you really love her, you'll give her up.
Yes, I suppose so.
And you will? Won't you, dear?
I don't know, Mother. I don't know what to do now.
I've never heard a more cockeyed story in my life. You don't believe it, do you, Larry?
Of course I do.
Do you think if this were true, she could ever have kept quiet about it so long?
Why not?
Because she thrives on emotional blackmail. She'd have used this long ago to get her way. Just the way she used that phony heart attack the other night.
Phony?
Sure. She's as strong as an ox. Her heart's probably in better shape than mine. At least since you started making it beat faster.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't be. I like it that way. Don't you see, darling? Your sainted mother is using every trick in the book to break us up.
But this thing about my father...
Well, what difference does it make?
You don't care if he was insane?
Of course not. He couldn't have been nuttier than I am.
What?
I must be crazy to be in love with you.
I guess so.
But I am.
Sometimes I wonder why you're so bright and strong and so capable, and I'm just me.
And I like you being just you.
I wish it didn't upset Mother so.
Listen to me, Larry, my boy. It's about time your mother learned the facts of life. And fact number 1 is that boys will be boys, and being boys, they are bound to like girls. And the girls they like are never, never, never the girls their mothers like, because their mothers don't like any girls messing around with their little boys.
Yes, I suppose you're right.
You know darn well I'm right. Now that that's taken care of, when are you going to make me an honest woman?
I don't know. Soon, I hope.
Soon? When?
Well, I want to talk to Mother once more.
Talk to her. You can't talk to her. Tell her. Tell her we're going to get married. And then tell her for me to drop dead.
But he didn't tell me anything until it was too late.
And, so, Mother...
Don't call me Mother.
Laurie, we just dropped by to tell you we were married this morning.
Oh. What do you expect me to do?
Well, I'd like to know that you don't hold any hard feelings against me.
You know my feelings in this matter. They haven't changed.
This may sound corny, Mrs. Ryder, But it would be nice to begin our married life with your blessing.
You get no blessing from me, you kidnapper.
Oh, come now, Mrs. Ryder.
You're a witch. Strumpet, you're a thief.
Well, let's go, Larry. We're not getting any place.
You can't take my son from me. He's mine. He'll always be mine. Nothing you can do will ever change that. Love him. Go on. Love him as much as you know how. Give him everything you have. It'll mean nothing to him because you aren't me. Go on, take him away. Take him to the ends of the earth and he'll come back to me. Because he was meant for me, and I was meant for him. Laurie and Larry. And everybody's saying what a lovely couple they make. I warned her. You can't say I didn't warn her. She went into this thing with her eyes wide open, and she must face the consequences. So I went to work. My butcher was the first person I confided to because I knew he liked to share secrets with all his customers.
Well, Mrs. Ryder, I hear you lost a son and gained a daughter.
That's right, Mr. Stearns.
Kind of sudden, wasn't it?
Oh, no, I wouldn't say so.
Who is the lucky little lady? Someone from the neighborhood?
No, she worked in Larry's office. A brilliant girl. Maybe a little too brilliant.
Oh, how do you mean?
Well, you know, Mr. Stearns, these bright ones, sometimes they aren't too stable.
Oh, flighty, eh?
No, not flighty. Moody. She has dark moods. I don't know.
Well, now, that could be hard on Larry.
Oh, don't you worry about Larry. You can always count on me to cheer him up.
That's right, Mrs. Ryder. He's a lucky boy to have you for a mother.
And there were others. Oh, Mrs. Martin, who lived by her telephone. And my cleaning woman and the corner druggist. I let them all know that Larry's marriage was not as happy as it could be. And I tried, successfully, I believe, to plant this thought with Larry when he came to visit me. I insisted he come alone. I would not receive that woman in my home. You look a little peaked, dear. Are you getting enough to eat?
Of course, Laurie.
Your wife has learned to cook, then.
She does all right.
But not as well as I do.
She's learning.
Well, I hope so, before you waste away. Are you happy, darling? Truly happy?
Yes, I'm happy.
You don't seem to be. What is it, dear? What's worrying you?
Nothing.
Come on now, tell Laurie.
I promised not to.
We've always been honest with each other, dear, and that must never change. Now, what's troubling you?
All right, then. Roberta's going to have a baby.
Oh. Yours?
Why, yes.
But you aren't sure.
Oh, no, but...
You can't be sure, can you? Well, how could you be sure? Now you can be sure of only one thing. This is why she wanted to marry you so desperately. This is why she took you away from me. Don't you see? Can't you see that now?
Well, I
won't permit it. I won't let it happen. I won't have you the father of another man's child.
But you're only jumping to conclusions.
Oh, no. I'm certain I know her kind of woman. I told you, Larry. Over and over I told you this marriage was wrong. Perhaps now you realize once more that Laurie knows what is best for you.
But what can I do?
Do? There's only one thing to do now. Kill her. Of course, it took a lot of persuasion, but I know just how to persuade Larry. And in the end, he agreed with me. And it will be so simple and so safe. Everyone knows she's a creature of dark moods. Everyone knows that for days on end she doesn't speak to you. That she goes for long automobile rides by herself at night.
How does everybody know this?
I've told them.
But it isn't true.
Well, they think it is.
You've been planning this for a long time, haven't you?
Since the day you got married.
You're a wicked woman.
You belong to me, and I belong to you. You know that, don't you, Larry?
Yes, God help me, I know it.
Now, you know what you're to do. Turn out on the coast route, 1.5 miles below Gull Point. There's no guardrail. You let the car roll and jump just before it goes over. It's more than 100 feet to the surface.
Why do I have to do it? I don't hate her, you do. Why don't you take that gun you keep in your desk and just shoot her?
And have the gun traced in the fingerprints? Use your head, Larry. This way it'll look like an accident, a brake failure. An accident that occurred when poor Roberta was on one of her moody midnight rides.
Thought of everything, haven't you?
Yes, my dear, because I'm thinking of us. Now, I'll follow you. I'll be waiting up the road to drive you home. When will you do it? Tonight?
Might as well. The sooner the better.
That's right. That's right, my dear. The sooner the better.
What are you stopping for, Larry?
This turnout. Let's look at the view a minute.
Oh. It is lovely, isn't it? Sliver of the moon across the water. Let's walk out to the edge. Come on, we can get a bit.
Wait, we're not supposed to?
Supposed to what?
Nothing.
Larry, are you happy with me?
Why, sure. Sure I am. What makes you ask?
You seem so strange all evening. You saw your mother today, didn't you?
Yes.
I can always tell when you've seen her. You come back to me different.
I'm sorry.
Well, what terrible things has she told you about me this time?
Oh, nothing.
Don't tell me. I don't want to hear. I don't care. So long as I have you. Isn't it lovely out here? Be careful. Don't you get too close to the edge.
Oh, it's perfectly safe. Listen. You can hear the surf.
And see it way down there foaming in the moonlight? So beautiful. Tell me, Larry. Tell me.
Tell you what?
Tell me you love me.
Why me? Why do you want me to love you? There must have been other men, older, stronger men who loved you. I'm just... You've said it 100 times. Just a mama's boy.
Well, maybe that's why I love you. Maybe that's what I need. A man I can care for and look after, protect. There are women like that, you know.
Like my mother.
No, not like her. Women like me. I'm no shrinking violet. I'm capable and I'm smart. I'm the equal of any man, so I scare men. But I don't scare you. Do I, darling?
No, Roberta. You've never scared me.
And I never will. I'll take care of you and our baby.
Our baby? Is it ours, Roberta?
Harry. What a dreadful thing to say.
Is it?
Who gave you the idea that it wasn't?
Well...
What a filthy, vile woman your mother is. She will stop at nothing.
That's right, Roberta. Mrs.
Mother, you're supposed to be waiting in the car.
You're supposed to be doing what I told you.
Get your hands off me.
I warned you.
Let go of me. Help me, Larry. I'm sleeping.
Push her.
Larry, not you.
Go
on.
Roberta.
Go on, take your baby with you and leave me mine.
Oh, God, Mother. What have we done?
Don't call me Mother. It only took a moment to release the handbrake on the car, send it rolling over the cliff, and Roberta's accidental death was complete. It was all over and done with, and Larry and I were back together again. We slept late the next morning, and we were dallying over our brunch in the sun-filled breakfast room, still in our robes and slippers when the doorbell rang. Yes?
Mrs. Ryder?
Yes.
Want to talk to you, ma'am.
Well, I'm afraid I'm not dressed.
It's all right. We don't mind.
Oh, just a minute. You can't come in here like this. Who are you?
Police?
Police?
Lieutenant Ross, homicide. This is Sergeant Abbott.
Morning, ma'am.
What is it? What's happened? What do you want?
Just want to ask a few questions.
You have any idea where your son is, Mrs. Ryder?
Yes, he's in the other room.
Well, he'd better hear this, too. Will you call him?
Larry,
Yes?
some men are here. They want to talk to you. The police.
Police? What do they want with me?
Mr. Ryder, when did you see your wife last?
Last night at dinner. Why?
She's dead, Mr. Ryder.
Dead?
Oh, Larry, how horrible.
Her body was found on the rocks near Gold Point this morning. Car went over, too.
Larry, I told you shouldn't let her go out alone on those long rides at night.
She was in the habit of driving alone at night?
Oh, yes, whenever she got into one of her moods.
You weren't home last night, Mr. Ryder?
No, I slept over here.
Have an argument with your wife last night?
No.
Was she in one of her moods last night?
You might say so.
Where were you last night, Mrs. Ryder?
I was right here with Larry. We watched TV until quite late.
You sure of that?
I can prove it. Larry was with me. Just what are you driving at?
This. You recognize it, Mr. Ryder?
It's a wristwatch. I gave it to her for a wedding present.
Do you know there was a message engraved on the back of this watch?
No.
The letters are so tiny it looks like a design until you put it under a magnifying glass.
Message? What does it say?
It says, I have only one enemy in the world. If anything should happen to me, my mother-in-law will be the cause.
Oh, that vicious witch. Why can't she let us alone? Why does she have to come back from the dead to haunt us?
No, Mother.
Don't you call me Mother.
All right. I won't call you Mother. A word is too good for you. You're the vicious witch. You're the one who's evil. Why couldn't you have left us alone? Why couldn't you have let Roberta and me live our own lives?
Oh, my heart. I'm going to faint.
Go ahead, faint. Drop dead.
I'm smelling salts. It's in the desk here.
Gentlemen, the inscription on my wife's watch is correct. My mother murdered her.
All right, up with your hands, all of you.
Drop that gun, Mrs. Ryder.
Oh, no, and don't either of you.
Put it away, madam. Somebody's liable to get hurt.
Indeed, yes, someone's liable to get killed. But I won't put it away until I hear my son out. Well, Larry, did you have something else to say?
Not much. Only that you killed her, and I hope you hang for it.
This is your last word to your mother?
You haven't been a mother to me ever. Parasite, a leech, a selfish, aging hag, but no mother.
That's all you have to say.
That's all.
And this is my reply, dear Larry.
Hey, grab her,
Let me go.
I got the gun.
Let me go.
I got her.
Let me have it. Let me use it on myself. I must join Larry. We've always been together, Larry and I. You mustn't separate us now. You don't realize how it is with us. Laurie and Larry, such a lovely couple, people always say.
Suspense, in which Miss Agnes Moorehead starred in Don't Call Me Mother, written, produced, and directed by William N. Robeson. In a moment, the names of our supporting players and a word about next week's story of Suspense.
The more things change, the more impressive is the unwavering reputation CBS News enjoys for good judgment, accuracy, and speed. That fine reputation has been earned through the dedicated efforts of men like Edward R. Murrow of CBS News. Since the days of the Second World War, Mr. Murrow's been on the job, helping to keep Americans informed. More and more radio listeners are turning to Edward R. Murrow for a better understanding of our changing world. Every Monday through Friday evening, follow the course of history with Edward R. Murrow with the news. Our World News Roundup, heard daily on most of these same stations, is another reason why CBS News is respected everywhere. Every morning, our World News Roundup takes you where important things are happening for eyewitness reports by experts. Tomorrow on CBS Radio, you have a date with history on the World News Roundup.
Supporting Agnes Moorehead in Don't Call Me Mother were Kathy Lewis, James McCallion, Barney Phillips, and Norm Alden. Listen. Listen again next week when we return with Mr. Dick Crenna in Night on Red Mountain. Another tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
Tonight, Miss Miller stars on the CBS Radio Network.
It's intermission time at the Bah Ghoulie Show. Time to refresh yourself and visit our snack bar.
Let's go out to the lobby. Let's go out to the lobby. Let's and have ourselves a treat.
It's radio time, folks. Enjoy the rest of the program. This episode of the Bah Ghoulie Show is brought to you by Waddle's Tunes over at Channel Watchwaddle. Oh, that's where I left that bar of soap.
Hands are dirty, don't be a dope. Clean them up with bubbly soap.
Now that's some clean humor.
Murder at midnight.
So lovely. Everything about you. Your eyes, your lips, your lovely white throat. I can feel it pulsing under my hands, throbbing.
Don't, Frank, you're hurting me. You're choking me. No!
Midnight, the witching hour when the night is darkest, our fears the strongest, and our strength at its lowest ebb. Midnight, when the graves gape open and death strikes. How? You'll learn the answer in just a minute in Till Death Do Us Part. And now, Murder at Midnight. Tales of mystery and terror by radio's masters of the macabre. Our story by Joseph Ruskell is Till Death Do Us Part.
Such a wistful eye upon that little tint of blue which prisoners call the sky.
Ruth, I want to tell you something. Put down that book and listen. I love you.
Some love too little, some too long. Some sell and others buy. Some do the deed with many tears and some without a sigh.
Do you hear me, Ruth? I love you.
Some do it with a bitter look. Some with a flattering word.
Professor Clark.
Yes, Professor Clark.
Love me, darling.
Wildly?
Put the book away. Almost there now. Bridal suite waiting.
Oh, Frank. Promise you'll always love me.
Till death do us part. Another glass, darling. Come on.
It's sweet to dance to violins when love and life are fair. To dance to flute, to dance to lute is delicate and rare.
But it is not so sweet with nimble feet
to dance upon the air. Frank.
Darling.
You've hardly kissed me. Why are you looking at me like that?
You're so lovely.
Come over here to the couch. A shy bridegroom in this day and age? Darling, why are you acting so strangely? Well, if the mountain won't come to Mohammed... Come here, my lord and master. Kiss me.
Oh, Ruth, I love you so.
Darling, why do you keep staring at me like that? Frank!
Ruth, no.
Darling, what's the matter?
I don't know.
Please, Frank, after all...
No, don't come near me. Don't touch me.
Ruth, something terrible is happening to me. It's a feeling. It's too dreadful to believe.
What is it?
When I take you in my arms, when I kiss you, I love you and I want you so that I feel a hideous urge to...
To what, darling?
Strangle you to death.
Darling?
Hmm?
Hurry, dear. The waiter just brought in breakfast. What are you doing?
Shaving. Finishing up now. Morning, Professor.
Morning, Professor. Life is wonderful.
Wonderful.
Towel?
Thank you.
Leave us enter the parlor, husband.
Yes. Leave us eat, my bride. Ah! What feast is this that tempts me palate? Fall to, spouse. Ha ha! Citrus, my favorite ice squirt. I'm so happy I feel like dancing.
It's sweet to dance to violin
Yes, that's right. How's it go? It's sweet to dance to violin.
when love and life are fair. Eat, dear. What's wrong?
I guess I'm not very hungry.
Frank, you're thinking of that incident last night again. You are, aren't you?
How could I have said that to you? I can't understand it. What got into me?
Now, darling, you're to forget it. Don't talk about it anymore. Don't even think of it. It was just your little joke.
Some joke. Wonder I didn't frighten you to death.
Well.
The funny thing is, the next minute I was laughing at myself, and so were you. But when I said it, Ruth, I can't explain it. I can't eat now.
Frank.
It was like an obsession. Yes, that's it. It was an obsession. Ruth, you're a psychologist. What does it mean? To have felt that horrible urge to do that to you. To you, I must have been mad.
Now, darling, don't say that. Don't spoil our honeymoon with this nonsense. You'll be talking things into yourself. I don't know what it is. Your nerves are on edge from your accident, that terrible crash just 3 months ago.
Please, Ruth, please, I don't want to think about it. I can still see it, that horrible, twisted wreckage.
Well, you're lucky you're alive. Be thankful. I am.
She was hitting 80, showing off. I couldn't stop her, that daffy little sister of yours.
Darling.
I'm sorry, dear. I'm sorry. I guess I felt as awful about it as you did. Brilliant student, could have been one of my best if she'd ever opened a book. The poor kid, what a way to die. Maybe if I hadn't accepted a lift to town, who knows, she might still be...
Now, please, darling, let's forget it. It's not good for you. You haven't been at all yourself ever since then.
No, I haven't. Have I?
Well, everything has its compensation, dear. After all, that's what brought us together. Closely, I mean.
Yes, that's right. In the hospital, what... You were an angel.
Oh.
Well, you were just an angel from heaven, the way you helped to nurse me through all that time, when I was only half conscious. Nursed me and read to me. Read to me? Yes. The way you read to me.
Why do you say it like that, Frank?
Well, I don't know. There's something you read to me over and over when I was barely conscious. I've heard it ever since, deep down. I can't seem to recall it, but I feel that it had something to do with my crazy behavior last night. A line. It's still with me. It never seems to leave me. Seems to make me want to do something horrible.
Now, Frank, stop talking. You're ill again. You're pale as a ghost.
What was that line? I've got to know.
Please, darling, please, stop shouting. I'm with you. Your love is with you. Now kiss me, dear. Hold me tight.
Oh, so lovely. Everything about you. Your eyes, your lips, your lovely white throat. I feel it pulsing. I can feel your throat pulsing, darling, in my hands, pulsing.
No, Frank, you're hurting me. Oh, you're choking me. No!
Yes, sir. I'm checking out. Room number 438. Call me a cab. From the bridal suite? Well, just a moment. There's something wrong, sir. You and your wife just checked in last night. Any complaint?
No, no complaint. Just call me a cab.
Oh, an emergency.
What business is it of yours? Where's another hotel?
Why, you'll find it very difficult in New York without a reservation. And if you and your wife...
I'm checking out. Who said anything about my wife? She's better off without me, do you hear? Well, what are you gawking at? She's very lovely, remember? Would she make a nice corpse in a bridal suite? Oh, go to the devil.
Where to now, mister? Where now?
Just shake off that other cab.
I did 3 hours ago. I told you 10 times. What now?
Just drive around the park.
We've been around and around and around. How long can this go on?
That line. What was that line? What was it?
Huh?
What was that line?
Look, pal, we going over that again, too? What line? You want the 7th Avenue line? If I'm not talking out of turn, Bud, you must have lifted quite a few today.
Get me to a hotel.
We tried a dozen. Remember, they're full up. Hey, just who are you, mister? What's your racket?
What's that to you?
Okay, I just asked.
I was a teacher, cabby, in a woman's college. But that's only a blind. My name is Jack the Ripper, see? But some people just call me Bluebeard.
Huh? This is the end of my line, chum. Pay up and get out.
No, I won't. You can't make me get out. You can't.
I can't, huh?
No, because if I do get out, I may go back. And if I go back, don't you understand? I'll kill her.
For richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. A bridegroom, dazed and obsessed, standing on a city street, fearing to return to his bride, because he knows if he does, it will mean murder at midnight. And now, back to Murder at Midnight and Till Death Do Us Part.
Yes? What do you want?
Good evening, sir. My name is Bluebeard. You're the proprietor of this charming boarding house.
You're drunk.
Forsooth 'tis true. May I tarry the night?
No vacancies. Go on now, get on your way.
Where's his room?
Top floor, rear, Mrs. Clark. He came in about an hour ago, drunk as you please, and he asked for a single. I'm not one to rent to drunks, mind you, but I can see he's real educated. And a gentleman, though a queer one, if you ask me, with his eyes all bloodshot. Well, here it is.
Did he say when he'll be back?
He said he was going for his bags.
I'll just wait in his room if you don't mind. It's all right. I'm his wife, I tell you.
Well, I don't know. Something mighty fishy about all this. Well, excuse me, there's the hall phone. If it's not one thing, it's another. All right, all right. Hello? Yes? Who? Who? Oh, just a minute. It's him, ma'am. He wants to talk to the lady who just came in.
Let me speak to him. Hello, Frank.
I saw you go in. What are you doing in my house?
Darling, it's so good to hear your voice again. I was so worried.
Answer me. What are you doing there? How did you know where to find me?
I've been following you everywhere. I don't want you to leave me, darling. I love you.
Get out of there. Stop haunting me. I'm no good for you. Haven't you had enough? Go away.
I won't. You need me. I'm your wife. Come back to me, Frank.
Come back. How can you still want me? What are you inviting? Why don't you take a train home? Do you want to die? You know I'll kill you the next time we're alone. You know I've gone mad.
Now, don't say that. You're just ill, and I'll nurse you back to health. Oh, Frank, this is your wife talking. What sort of spineless thing do you suppose you've married? What would you have me do? Run to the police and ask them to protect me from my husband? Run to the police and cry that the man I love wants to kill me? Run to the police and tell them...
That's right. Of course. Why didn't I think of that before?
No, Frank! Frank! Frank, what are you going to do?
Have a seat, Mrs. Clark.
What is it you want of me, Inspector Wade? Why was I called here to the police station?
You've no idea?
No. Oh. Is he here, my husband? He told you?
But I thought he was just drunk.
Oh, I told him not to come here. I told him not to.
Then it's all true?
Yes.
This beats anything I've ever heard. Man loves wife so much he wants to strangle her. Kisses her. Gets an irresistible yen to choke her to death. And on their honeymoon. You want to prefer charges?
Prefer charges? What for?
Well, attempted homicide ought to cover it.
I won't. He's my husband. I love him. I'll stick by him no matter what.
But he ought to at least be sent to Bellevue for a mental...
Oh, no, you won't. There's nothing mentally wrong with Frank. Nothing at all. It's simply nerves, the result of an accident he had recently.
This really takes the cake. Mrs. Clark, another thing that puzzles me.
Yes?
He kept raving about a line when he staggered in here, as if it were life or death. A line of poetry he couldn't remember. Wanted me to tell him what it was. Confidentially, I've only read one poem in my life. Now, what's that all about?
I haven't the vaguest notion, Inspector. Just part of his neurotic state, I suppose. When we get back to our hotel room...
What? You want him back after what happened?
Yes. Don't you see, I must cure him of that awful obsession. Who else can do it but me? I'd like to see him now, Inspector. Please release him to me. I'll take the consequences.
He's not here.
Not here?
No. We held him overnight just to let him sober up like we would any other drunk. Thought it was just all boozy eyewash. Well, this morning he seemed a new man and laughed it all off. So we released him. Just a few minutes ago.
Oh, wonderful.
But then I had a hunch I ought to warn you anyway. Just a hunch.
Warn me?
Yeah. He said he was going to call on you tonight at the hotel for a little reunion.
Oh, how marvelous. Maybe he's all cured.
I don't know. I didn't like the way he smiled when he said it. Mrs. Clark, after what you just told me, I think I ought to have him picked up again.
You'll do no such thing.
It's taking your life in your hands. I think he's got wheels in his head.
I don't care. I love him.
You die just as dead when you're in love.
I'm not afraid. I'll never leave him. Certainly not now when he needs me more than ever. Is that all, Inspector?
Okay, lady. You're 14 carat. He sure doesn't deserve a wife like you. And don't say I didn't warn you. It's your funeral.
Thank you, Inspector. Goodbye.
Oh, Mrs. Clark, there's one more thing perhaps I ought to tell you.
Yes?
When I released him just a while ago, he said something else that puzzled me. That being in jail had suddenly given him revelation. He smiled very queerly when he said it.
Oh?
I think maybe he found that line of poetry, Mrs. Clark.
Hello?
Ruth?
Where are you, Frank?
In the lobby.
Come up.
I don't know exactly what your game is, my sweet bride, but I'm warning you. I've had revelation.
I know. It's high time.
I'm going to finish it, Ruth, this time. You asked for it.
Come up, Frank.
Sure?
Sure.
Your funeral.
A coward does it with a kiss. Come in, Frank. The door's open.
Throwing a party, my dear?
Yes,
Who's invited?
you and I.
What are we celebrating?
An uninvited guest at our honeymoon. Death has come with you, hasn't it, this time?
Yes.
Shall we drink to him?
Why not?
Do you still love me, Frank?
Yes, I still love you. But I'll love you better when you're dead for what you've done.
How much do you know?
Not enough. It came to me in jail last night. The jail had something to do with it. How, I still don't know, but enough to make me remember something you whispered in the hospital when I was just coming to. You said, "I'll get my revenge, Frank. Do you hear me? I'll get my revenge."
Splendid. Hey, from memory. What else?
Enough to make me realize that you hate me and have always hated me, although you pretended otherwise.
Brilliant. Say loved and hated you. Go on.
And that somehow, I don't know myself in what way, but I'm sure it must be a very clever way, as your psychology students would agree, you've been coldly, deliberately torturing me, trying to make me think myself a maniac, or have others think so.
Close enough.
Why, what I can't understand is why you did it, or why you weren't afraid that I'd really murder you.
You'll soon find out.
And I'm convinced now that you've done it all with a single line. A single line of poetry. In my jail cell, I was sure of it. The very walls seemed to tell me, I don't know why, that it was a line that you kept reading to me at the hospital, over and over and over again, that made me think I wanted to kill you.
And what was that line?
That's what I'm going to find out. Right now.
Don't come any closer, Professor.
You know, it's perfectly ridiculous. Looking at you now, close to you where I can almost touch you, that crazy obsession is still with me. I laugh at it intellectually. I know that you've tricked me into it by some very obvious power of suggestion, but I still feel that way.
Don't come any nearer. I'm warning you.
Isn't it eerie? I still love you and can strangle you for my love. And will.
Stay where you are. You're not going to kill me, darling. I'm going to kill you. Now, do you see why I wasn't afraid of you?
That gun. You've had it all the time.
Correct, my love. Right here in the wine table drawer. I've planned this all along, Angel, from the very first. Before we were even married. Yes, your intuition was right. From the day you and my little sister were brought to the hospital after the accident. From the day she died, and the doctor said you'd pull through. I planned it all. And it's worked out like a perfect equation every step of the way.
Why? Why?
I had to commit the perfect crime, and I've done it. Even the police will testify that it was self-defense against a homicidal maniac. And when they find you here with a bullet in your head, they'll congratulate me.
But what's this? I still don't understand.
It had to be the perfect crime because I must go free. You see, one life has already paid for yours. And quart for quart, your blood is worth no more than my family's.
I don't understand this at all. What did I ever do?
You killed my sister.
I killed her?
She told me before she left on that drive with you that she was going to crash the car. She left before I could stop her. She told me everything, Frank, including what you'd done to her.
Everything. I see. So that's it. Well, I don't suppose it would be of any use my trying to convince you.
No, no use. I've waited a long time for this moment. Revenge is sweet. And it was such fun to torture you. I used a weapon I knew. Of course, it was power of suggestion. Sure, you guessed it. But what a pity you don't know the line yet.
What was it? What was it? Tell me. Tell me. Don't keep me in torture.
Keep back. Think hard, Frank. Think all around it. What about a jail and the revelation it gave you? What about a famous poet who wrote a famous poem while in jail?
Why...
Yes, yes?
Oscar Wilde. That's it. Yes, that's it, from Oscar Wilde, a ballad.
Of course, a ballad.
The Ballad of Reading Jail. How could it ever have escaped me? Why, you witch, you've even been reading from it on our honeymoon. But what part? What verse? What line? What was the line?
Don't take another step or I'll pull the trigger.
Give me the line, I say. I still can't think of the line.
Keep back or I'll shoot.
Oh, no, you won't.
One more step and I'll shoot.
Tell me that line or I'll kill you.
All men kill the thing they love. Remember, Frank?
How's the next line go, Mrs. Clark? By all, let this be heard. So I heard. Too bad I was a little late.
Inspector Wade.
You know, ma'am, like I said, I only read one poem in my whole life. But ain't it the darndest thing? It happened to be the Ballad of Reading Jail.
Till death do us part. A honeymoon in the bridal suite. Red wine spilled on the table. And red blood on the floor as the clock strikes 12 for murder at midnight. Remember to be with us again when death's key turns in the lock and the clocks strike 12 for murder at midnight. The part of Professor Ruth Clark was played by Elspeth Eric. Professor Frank Clark by Eric Dressler. With music by Charles Paul, Murder at Midnight was directed by Anton M. Leader.
Hey, Ghoulies! Hope you're enjoying today's radio show. If you're still up afterward, join us over at Channel Watchwaddle for our midnight spook show screening of The Haunted Skeletons. It'll scare you to the bone. For now, enjoy the rest of the radio program.
The Sealed Book. Once again, the keeper of the book has opened the ponderous door to the secret vault, wherein is kept the great sealed book, which records all the secrets and mysteries of mankind through the ages. Here are tales of every kind, tales of murder, of madness, of dark deeds, strange and terrible beyond all belief. Keeper of the book, I would know what tale we tell this time. Open the great book and let us read. Slowly, the great book opens. One by one, the keeper of the book turns the pages and stops. Ah, the strange story of a woman who was born with the soul of a cat. A tale titled Queen of the Cats. here is the tale, Queen of the Cats, as it is written in the pages of the sealed book. It is early evening, and in a large, old-fashioned living room filled with gloomy shadows, young Chris Arnold, his face haggard, sits glowering at his fiancée, Jane Elliott, and the serious-faced doctor, whom she has brought to see him. Chris's hand trembles as he tries to light a cigarette while he speaks.
I'm sorry Jane made you come all the way out here to see me, Dr. Smith. There's nothing wrong with me. Nothing, I tell you.
Oh, Chris, there is. I know it.
Yes, Chris, Jane's right. I've known you all my life, and I can see at a glance there's something wrong. Now, why not tell me, and let me see whether I can help you or not.
All right, I'll tell you. I've got to tell someone. Jane knows part of the story already. She was in it. But I'll tell it to you from the very beginning, which was 2 years ago at a party to which Jane and I were invited.
Chris, isn't this a wonderful party?
The only thing wonderful about it is you.
Chris, don't. People are watching.
Oh, fine thing when a man can't kiss his best girl in public. What's this generation coming to?
At Miss Tyndall's school, we were taught a young lady never kisses a man in public.
Miss Tyndall is setting romance back 50 years. Who are you looking for, anyway?
Rana Farouk, my roommate at Miss Tyndall's.
Oh, she's the Egyptian girl you were telling me about.
Yes, I want you to meet her. Only you'd better not fall in love with her as every other man does.
Sounds as though she's a second Cleopatra.
Men don't seem to be able to resist her.
Really? Well, I'm curious to see this siren of the Nile.
There she is, Chris. Come on.
So that's Rana. No wonder men can't resist her.
Hello, Jane. I've missed you.
Rana, this is Chris Arnold. Chris, this is Rana Farouk.
Hello, Chris.
Hello, Rana.
Oh, look, there's Miss Tyndall waving to me. Excuse me, won't you?
Of course, Jane.
I'll be back in a minute.
You know, Chris, at Miss Tyndall's, the first thing I'd see in the morning when I got up and the last thing before I went to bed was your picture. And I always knew that someday we would meet. Now we have. Why are you staring at me like that? Aren't you going to say anything?
I prefer just to look. Even now, Doctor, 2 years after our first meeting, I find it difficult to describe how beautiful Rana was. I was her slave from the moment I saw her. And a month after we'd met, we were married.
I see. Please go on, Chris.
After Rana and I were married, we took an apartment in town. In the months that followed, I began to see Rana not as the image I'd been infatuated with, but as she really was. Vain, selfish, and possessive. It was a possessiveness verging on madness. She couldn't bear to have me out of her sight. And when I was, upon my return, there'd be questions, countless questions. I began to dread seeing her. And then there were the cats.
The cats?
Yes. The apartment was always full of cats. She'd sit for hours stroking them, whispering to them, till I felt I'd go mad. And that was when I got the strange idea that Rana wasn't really human at all, but a great cat herself, wearing human form. She and the cat seemed to talk together as if they understood each other perfectly. Life became a nightmare for me. A nightmare full of cats and Rana asking questions, endless questions. One day I realized I couldn't go on living with her any longer, that our marriage had been a mistake. I decided to tell her about it that very evening, without waiting any longer. May I come in, Rana?
Of course, dear.
Rana, there's something important I want to talk to you about.
Please, Chris, there's so little time just now. We can talk after the party.
But, Rana, this is important. I think that...
Darling, whatever you have to say can wait. Now, please hurry.
But,
Please.
Well, all right. We'll discuss what I have to say later.
Chris, when I called you at the office this afternoon, why didn't you tell me that you'd had lunch with Mary Walker?
How did you know I had lunch with her?
Oh, a friend told me.
A friend? Who was it?
What is it, my beauty? What are you trying to tell me?
Rana, put that cat down and answer me. Who was the friend that told you I had lunch with Mary Walker?
Someone you've never met, darling.
How is it you always know what I've been doing? Whom I've been seeing? It's as though you have people spying on me.
Chris, what a thing to say. Now, please hurry or we'll be late.
There's something strange about the way you always know what I've been doing. Sometimes I suspect you...
Chris, look out! You stepped on Sabina's tail.
Oh, if there weren't so many cats underfoot, I wouldn't have stepped on it. Why must you keep 5 cats around?
Because I love cats. They're beautiful, sacred. Thousands of years ago, my ancestors worshipped cats. And the great cat goddess Sakonet. On the River Nile, close by the ancient city of Hamadi, where I was born, are the graves of 100,000 sacred cats who have been mummified and buried with reverence.
Rana, I can't go on like this anymore.
Why, darling, what do you mean?
Our marriage was a mistake. I want a divorce.
Chris, you can't be serious.
But I am.
No, Chris. I love you and I won't give you up. You're mine, darling. You always will be. Nothing shall ever separate us.
Cocktails,
No, thank you.
Well, even if you won't have one, Mr. Arnold, I will.
Jane! Oh, Jane, it's good to see you again. Can't we go someplace and talk? What about the terrace?
All right, Chris.
Here, this door opens onto it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is much better. It's been quite some time since we've seen each other, hasn't it?
Yes, the last time we saw each other was the night that...
The night that I met Rana.
Yes. How is Rana, Chris?
Oh, she's fine. Oh, Jane, I've made such a mess out of everything. I was a fool to have married her.
Please, Chris, you mustn't talk like that.
I was a fool, Jane, mistaking infatuation for love. Can you ever forgive me for the way I behaved towards you?
There's nothing to forgive, Chris.
Jane. This is a surprise.
Rana.
Hello, Rana.
Really, Jane, the way you've avoided calling on us, I half suspect you're still in love with Chris.
Rana, you have no right to talk to her like that.
Please, Chris, I'm afraid I'll have to be leaving. It's getting quite late. Good night.
Good night, Jane.
I hope I didn't interrupt anything by coming out here so unexpectedly, Chris.
Yes, Rana, you did. I was about to tell Jane that I love her and that I always will. Rana, you've got to give me a divorce.
I'll never give you a divorce. Never. Do you hear? You're mine and you always will be. If I can't have you, no one else will.
And now my story continues. as it is written here in the pages of the sealed book. There is horror on Chris Arnold's features as he tells the doctor of his efforts to get his wife, Rana, to divorce him, and of her refusal to let him go.
I can still see her, Doctor. She stood there, glaring at me. She looked like a cat. A great angry cat. Her green eyes were cold and murderous. Her long nails dug into my arm. Her body was tense. For a moment, I thought she was going to scratch my eyes out. And she turned and stalked away.
What happened after that night, Chris?
I ceased speaking to Rana. We lived in the same apartment, but that was all. Rana waited for me to come around, with all the patience of a cat playing with a mouse. But when a month had passed and I still refused to talk to her, she made an attempt to win me back. It happened one night as we were driving to this house. Why are you slowing down, Rana?
I want to talk to you, Chris, and I can't talk to you while I'm driving.
There's no point in your stopping. We have nothing to say to each other.
But we do, darling. Chris, we could be so happy together if you wanted to. You know how much I love you. I'd do anything to make you happy, anything.
Anything? Then you can give me a divorce.
Chris, you haven't any right to treat me like this. I'm your wife.
Only in the eyes of the law, not in my eyes.
I hate you. I hate you!
Oh, you cat! You almost took my eyes out with those claws of yours.
I will scratch your eyes out before I let any other woman have you. You're mine and yours will be.
Perhaps this will bring you to your senses. Slide over. I'll drive.
Very well, Chris. You think you've beaten me, Chris. But you haven't. In the end, you'll come crawling to me. It may take a year, 2 years, 5 years. But I can wait.
You have everything planned perfectly, Rana, don't you? But I have one way of escape from you that you never thought of.
Really? And what way is that?
I can escape through death.
Death?
Yes, Rana. If I should fail to take the curve 100 yards ahead, we'd plunge off the side of this mountain.
Chris, you wouldn't.
Why not, Rana? You've showed me there's nothing to live for. This, at least, is a clean way out.
No, Chris! Chris, don't! No! No!
When I drove the car over the side of the mountain, Doctor, I thought Rana and I were going to our deaths. But fate decreed otherwise. When I recovered consciousness 48 hours later in a hospital, I learned it was only Rana who had died. I only had a few bones broken and was out of the hospital in a month. It was just a week later that I ran into Jane. Oh, Jane!
Oh, Chris, it's you.
Janie, you always seem to pop up just when I need you most.
These past weeks must have been so difficult for you.
Oh, I don't want to look back at the past, Jane, but only to the future. The future I once hoped we'd share, and still do. 2 months ago, Doctor, Jane and I became engaged. It was just about that time that I first began to notice that everywhere I went, there always seemed to be a cat following me.
Are you sure you weren't imagining it, Chris?
Well, at first I thought it was my imagination, but a week after Jane and I became engaged, I was certain I was being followed.
Well, tell me, Chris, was it always the same cat that followed you?
No. One day it'd be one cat, and another day a different one. Then one night, I saw her. It happened in this very room 6 weeks ago. I had great difficulty in falling asleep that night. Suddenly, the silence was broken by the faint crying of a cat. The crying grew louder and louder. I lay in the darkness listening, realizing that the cat crying was real, living, and in my room. I could feel my heart pounding as I sat up in bed and looked about my darkened room. And suddenly I saw her. Two burning green eyes in the darkness. There was no mistaking those eyes. They were Rana's. I stared into those eyes for what seemed like hours. Then, as though listening to a stranger's voice, I heard myself speak. Rana! It is you, Rana, isn't it? Yes, I'd recognize those green eyes anywhere. So you've come back, and in the form I've always thought of you as, a cat. I know why you've come back. It's because of Jane. You always said that if you couldn't have me, no one else would. That I was yours and always would be. Well, you're wrong, do you hear? Jane and I are going to be married. You came between us once, but you aren't going to this time. I will marry her, and there's nothing you can do to stop me. You fiend, try to scratch my eyes out, would you? Well, we'll see about that. Perhaps that'll show you. Nothing you can do will stop me from marrying her. I know that the cats that were following me and spying on me were doing so under your orders. You're the queen of the cats. Yes, I should have known. No wonder you always knew where I'd been, who I'd seen. You had cats spying on me even then. Well, even if you are the queen of the cats, you can't stop me from marrying Jane. Perhaps a bullet between those green eyes of yours is what's needed.
And now to continue the story as it is written in the sealed book. His voice shaking, Chris Arnold is telling how he shot at the great black cat which came to him in the night and missed.
I emptied the gun at her, Doctor. At Rana in her true form of a great cat. And I turned on the light. There was no sign of her. She'd vanished. All that I found were 6 bullet holes in the wall opposite my bed.
Chris, isn't it possible that you only dreamed all that actually you fired the gun in your sleep and the shots themselves wakened you?
I tried to tell myself that. But during the nights that followed, I knew it hadn't been a dream. For night after night, the great black cat appeared in my house. I'd lie awake, waiting to hear her voice. And when she'd appear, I'd plead with her to leave me alone, but she'd only stare at me with those burning green eyes, waiting. I knew she'd never leave me alone as long as I intended to marry Jane. Finally, I went to see Jane.
Chris, this is a surprise. Come in, darling.
Thank you. Jane, there's something I want to ask you.
Yes, Chris, of course. What is it?
I know we set our wedding for next week, but couldn't we put it off for a while? Just a little while.
Oh, darling, what is it? There's something wrong. I know there is. Please tell me.
Wish I could, but I can't. Please, Jane, just have faith in me. You know I wouldn't postpone our marriage if I could possibly help it.
All right, Chris. I do have faith in you. We'll consider our marriage postponed for the time being.
night I put off my marriage to Jane, Doctor, was the first night that Rana didn't appear. And the first night in a week that I was able to sleep.
You think, Chris, that she didn't appear again because you had postponed your marriage to Jane?
I know it. Weeks went by. Weeks in which I was able to sleep soundly without being awakened by her. I came to think that perhaps it had all been part of a horrible nightmare and that I was over it at last. A week ago, I asked Jane to set the date for our wedding. She did so, and that same day we took out a marriage license. But that night, Rana appeared again, her eyes shining in the dark, cold and murderous. And I've seen her every night since. I tell myself that I mustn't be afraid, but I keep hearing her voice over and over. If I can't have you, no one else will. You're mine, and you always will be.
Chris, darling, I wish I'd known all this before.
You feel, Chris, that somehow she'll prevent you from marrying Jane?
No, I sound mad, but I do. I have a feeling something horrible will happen if I attempt to marry her.
Do you still have the marriage license?
Yes. Why do you ask?
Chris, you've reached a crisis in your life. You're faced with fears that are threatening to overwhelm your sanity. Now, the best way for you to challenge your fears is to go through with your marriage to Jane now, tonight.
Tonight?
Yes. It's quite late, but I'm sure a friend of mine who's a judge will marry you.
All right, Doctor. Jane, will you marry me tonight?
Oh, yes, Chris. Yes.
Sorry to get you up in the middle of the night, Judge, but for reasons I can't explain, it's important that these two be married tonight.
That's quite all right, Doc. Always glad to oblige a friend. Have you got the license and ring, young man?
Yes, sir. Here's the license and here's the ring.
Good. Now, young man, if you'll take her right hand. That's it. Now, shall I give the long ceremony or the short one?
The short one, please.
Just as you say, young lady. This is the shortest one I've got. And do you, Jane Elliott, take this man to be your lawful wedded husband, to love, honor, and obey as long as you both shall live?
I do.
Do you, Christopher Arnold, take this woman to be your lawful wedded wife, to love, honor, and cherish as long as you both shall live?
It's she! It's Rana!
Oh, Chris, please, it's only a black cat. You mustn't pay any attention to it.
Of course not. Now
It's Rana, I tell you. Look at her eyes. I told you she'd try to prevent my marrying Jane. We'll all get rid of her for once and for all.
Chris, what are you doing with that gun? Put it down.
Oh, she got away. Well, wherever she's gone, I'll find her.
Chris! Chris, come back! Oh, Doctor, where can it be?
Oh, Jane, he can't be far off. We'll find it. Listen.
Doctor, that must be Chris firing that gun.
Come on. Those shots came from close by.
Oh, hurry. Hurry.
You better take it easy now, Doc. It's pretty dark out here.
Wait a moment. I'll light my lighter.
Doc, look. A dead cat.
Yes. It was shot through the head.
Look, there's another one that's been shot to death.
Neither one of them is the black cat.
Say, Doc, isn't there a body over there?
Chris!
Jane, you stay with the judge while I look.
All right, Doctor.
There, miss. You mustn't cry.
But this would never have happened if I hadn't agreed to marry him. He was afraid, so afraid.
Doc, is it Arnold?
Yes, it is.
He's dead, isn't he? I can see it in your face.
Yes, Jane, he's dead.
But, Doc, how could such a thing have happened to him in such a short time?
He's been clawed to bits, as if by the claws of hundreds of cats.
Oh.
And most horrible of all, his eyes have been scratched out.
Two days later, at Chris Arnold's funeral, a great black cat appeared as if from nowhere, sitting close by the edge of the grave and licking its paws as it watched the coffin lowered into the earth. When they tried to catch it, it leaped away and seemed to vanish and was never seen again. Was it truly Rana, Chris's wife, reborn in the shape of the cat she had been at heart? The answer is not written here. The tale has been told just as it is recorded in the sealed book. And now, keeper of the book, before you close the great volume, show us the tale we tell next time. This one, yes, an amazing tale. It's the story of a brother and sister who found themselves left out of their aunt's will and who remedied that unfortunate situation by a clever scheme. A scheme which proved to be just a little too clever. It's a tale titled Death Rings Down the Curtain. Be sure to be with us again next time, when the sound of the great gong heralds another strange and exciting tale from the Sealed Book. The Sealed Book, written by Bob Arthur and David Cogan, is produced and directed by Jock McGregor.
Thank you for watching. And don't forget to go over to Channel Watchwaddle for their midnight spook show screening of The Haunted Skeletons. Presented in Skull Vision. Hope to see you all there.